And we're on. Hello, welcome to podcast episode 125 of Rope-a-Dope Boxing. And I tell you what, guys, it's been 2 weeks since we've done an episode. It feels like a lifetime. The boys are back in town. This is your boxing content that you can't go without. We need to get back rocking and rolling. I'm Dave G. That's Dave H. Like, share, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'm relieved to be back, Dave. Mate, the month of May has been absolutely shit for us for boxing. You went to Benidorm. We'd all had bits and bats to do. You came back. We couldn't do this week. We couldn't do that week. Last week, you had to go to the airport. I was absolutely hungover like shit. And I did recover. Went back out on the beer. Shitty half term this week, mate, where I've been roped into all different sorts of things, which kind of took me off the scent of boxing. And I've been kind of like a junkie coming off drugs. I need my boxing fix back. And it's Monday now, beginning of June. We're back on it. And we got to do our 8 episodes rather than 2. It's been a shit month, isn't it, mate? But it's good to see you again. How are things? And yes, again, it's been a shit month, isn't it?
It has, mate. Yeah. This, like I said, this is normal to us. Like I said, I wanted to get back to normal after Benidorm. Listen, life gets in the way, and that can't be helped. But we're back now. And yeah, again, drinking is heavily involved. I mean, we sound like alcoholics, man. I went on the piss with Ryan Ridge on Wednesday of last week because it was Chelsea in the final. Ended up having 10 pints in the pub with him. I went to the pub after work on Friday, stayed there till closing. Went to the pub about 4 o'clock on Saturday, went to closing. Now, there's a reason for this. I've been home alone. Well, we've got Holly here, but I might as well be home alone. But the wife and 2 kids have been in Turkey for a week, so they're back tomorrow. So I had nothing else to do, and I can see why like single men or whatever else get turned into alcoholics, because other than going to work, there's not a lot left to do. Like, and it's a lonely existence coming home on your own to nothing. Like, yeah, I've got dogs, I've got Holly and all whatever else, but it is lonely. It's a lonely life, and I'm glad they had a great time. Yeah, I'm glad they had a great time, but I also had a couple of good nights myself.
I bet you did.
But yeah, so they've been away. They're back tomorrow. They've had a great holiday. It was well deserved. You know, like Stacey lost her dad this year, so it was nice to get away for that. And yeah, I wish I was with them, but no, I'm here. And I'm working on the Rope-a-Dope pod because that is like a job.
Yeah, a job we don't get paid for, by the way.
No. If people want to pay us, by all means, we'll take it.
But, there's a lot of professionals, so-called professionals out there that are doing a job that me and Dave and some of our boxing pals could do a lot better at, honestly. But yeah, mate, it's nice to hear that you're getting the beer down, yeah? If the cat's away, the mice will play. Well, mice will drink, should I say, not play. But yeah, it's same. I've just been hammering the drink, man. Literally hammering the drink. We're going to call this the Alcoholics Anonymous podcast. So now when the boxing comes last, we're talking drink. We do anyway. But that Monday, I'd had quite a few. I had a couple of bottles of wine with my dad, as I do. People, regular listeners will know I like a drink on a Sunday. A few cans. Stopped off on the way home. I took the lads to Stourbridge Football Club. Met someone from the football team down there. Only went for 1 or 2. You know what 1 and 2 leads to, Dave. Didn't leave there till 1 o'clock. Monday, I was absolutely fit for nothing. Bank holiday Monday, so she weren't too pleased. But I made the effort. We went to some sort of fair, and I was just walking around like feeling like shit. Headache. Shakes, got the sweats, drinking lots of water, cans of pop, laid back on the sofa when I got home. Got a phone call from one of my mates. That's your beer, Dave. I've got the day off. Oh, I can't. I just feel like shit. Oh, that's a shame. I'm not off for another, 5-6 weeks. I'll go on then. Went down the club, Dave. Banging headache. I took so many ibuprofens, couldn't get rid of it. I said, walking down, had the shakes, felt like shit. I thought, I'm only going to have one. I can barely have one, and I've got to go home. Pint of Thatcher's Haze, waiting for him when I got down there. Yeah, again, what time did I go home? 1 o'clock in the morning. Hair of the dog, we've said it before. We don't want to bore everybody because we've got a lot of boxing to get through, but hair of the dog is a real thing. It's not a myth. I had 1 pint, mate, and I was right as rain. I was ready to go nightclubbing. Honestly, mate, I was fucking ready to go again. It's like magic medicine, George's Marvelous Medicine from the Roald Dahl books who was at school. I was ready to rock and roll. Fucking crazy, man.
It's the best cure ever, mate. It's the best cure ever.
It is the best
cure.
It's
not the recommended cure, but it's never failed.
No. So yeah, it'll probably happen again this time next week. So stay tuned for mine and Dave's wild shites.
My birthday in 2 weeks' time. So yeah,
there you go.
So.
Not that you need an excuse, mate. You never need an excuse, do you? No. So yeah, let's talk a bit of boxing. We've got 2 weeks worth to jump into. Obviously, we didn't do a show last weekend, or last week, should I say, for the reason we just given. We're back now, but we are going to cover what we saw from the weekend. But we're going to jump back to the previous weekend when we did make our predictions and on our previews, and we'll start at the Hydro in Glasgow. Josh Taylor, Echo Esserman, Josh up at 147 now. New start to his career at the age of 34. Last chance to roll the dice in terms of becoming a multiple world champion. We both gave our previews. We both gave our predictions. It wasn't really about Echo. We were more talking about what was left for Josh. What attitude would he come in with? Would he be better at 147? Would he look good on the scales? Statement making, still make himself relevant. But I've put here on the banner, guys, to cracking straight away from what we saw on that Saturday night in Glasgow. Are we seeing the decline of Josh Taylor, David? I think we are. We can break down the Tiafimo fight, the Jack Cattrall losses, and this one as well. We kind of made excuses or reasons for Josh with the weight cuts, the level of opponent he was up against. But since he became undisputed back in 2020, mate, I honestly, after seeing the performance against Echo Esserman at a weight he looked healthy at going into it, the signs are there. The signs that Father Time is still undefeated. And I think we are seeing now Josh Taylor becoming, I hate to say it, possibly just an opponent. I may be stretching it a bit, but he started so well, mate. And it just, the gas tank ran out, the engine ran out, the ideas ran out. He wasn't listening to his corner. Yeah, what are you thinking, brother? The decline of Josh Taylor, I think we're near, man.
Yeah, I think we are. Like I say, the first 2 rounds, I thought, well, wow. If he kept that up, then we're having a different conversation tonight, because he was very good in the first couple of rounds. He really, really was. He just didn't have the legs, mate. Like I say, at 34, he didn't have the legs to keep it up. And Echo Esserman's the worst type of opponent for that. We did say that this is. I listened back, obviously, and I hope that many people did. But we did say, and we weren't the only ones, that Echo Esserman is a potential banana skin here, because he is relentless. He is absolutely relentless, and in a guy that's got question marks over whether Father Time's catching him, it's a nightmare style, and unfortunately he found that the hard way, because again, his boxing ability and boxing skills, he wins every day, twice on Sunday. And he looked to be going that way in the first 2 rounds. He really did, but it dropped very quickly. It wasn't as if like 2 rounds in a 12-round fight is nothing. That is nothing. It's not as if he got into the championship rounds. The championship rounds were nowhere to be seen. And then obviously, as the fight's gone on, Echo Esserman, who is we said he's not the greatest boxer, he really isn't, but he's got some engine, and he's a hard night's work for anyone. And someone in decline, he's an absolute nightmare. And he grew in confidence. He second wins, all that sort of stuff. Even if he needed to use it, he stepped on the gas, and was just beating Josh Taylor to the punch, outworking him, pushing him back. Josh Taylor's always been very, very easy to hit anyway, and that again, that was evident as well. Josh Taylor's corner's got a lot to answer for as well for me.
It's with Matt Nally now, isn't he? Sorry,
Yeah,
mate. He's with Matt. I said the other week, I forgot he left Ben Davison, but yeah, he's with Joe McNally now. What? Go on then. What's wrong with the corner?
No, I think that they were telling him he was winning rounds that he wasn't winning. I'm not on about the instructions and whatnot.
No, you're right.
But you see why he reacted the way he did at the end is because his corner was telling him he was winning the fight. And so I think that was wrong. Like I say, I had it 8 rounds to 4 when we were scoring it. Echo Esserman just took over. Not even in the championship rounds. It was way before then. I think Josh Taylor started well. Looked like Josh Taylor of old in the first 2 rounds. Lovely shots he was throwing. Lovely combinations, But his legs just evaded him. And again, he's not the hardest person to hit, so he gets caught with eye-catching work. But he just got outworked. So I said, Echo Esserman for that. For a guy that's got question marks over what he's got left, and as he got the legs, Echo Esserman is a nightmare for that, and he went on to prove it. I don't think Joshua Taylor will become opponent. I don't think he will allow himself to. I don't think an undisputed champion. Well, you say that Roy Jones done it, but undisputed champion shouldn't. They should,
Yeah, Roy Jones done it, Dave, and people remembered him being knocked out by Enzo Maccarinelli and his losses out in Russia. That he's gone on too long. He went on too long, I
don't think Josh Taylor will. But he was. Listen, any questions that you was asked have been found out now for me. I don't. We don't call for retirement there. We always say that. I don't see where he can go. Echo Esserman is a pressure fighter. He's a hard night's work, but he's not a world beater. He may get world titles shot off the back of this, but his work rate, yes, but skills wise, he's not. He's not. Like you said, in the undisputed years, he doesn't live with Josh Taylor, and I think we can all agree on that. So yeah, like you said, 5 times undefeated, and unfortunately, Josh Taylor off the back of 3 or 4 defeats in a row. I just don't. That's not there anymore. He showed flashes in the first 2 rounds, but that's not enough to mount a comeback and go on to fight and beat the elite. And it's been proven.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame watching that, to be honest, mate. That crab-like style that he used to have, it's kind of like disappeared. And when I said in the opening there about his previous losses, yes, he got the decision against Jack Catchell the first time, but we all know that he lost that fight. You go back and have a look at that after the Ramirez got to the top of the mountain, and does he need to prove himself? Of course he doesn't, but he carried on. He was the undisputed champion. People thought that he overlooked Jack Catchell, but going back to those performances, mate, it kind of makes me think: was Josh Taylor that bad, or was Jack Catchell that good? Do you know what I mean? That could have been. That could have been the slope he was going on, because he hasn't looked himself since 2020, and. Like you just said there, you kind of summed it all up on that Saturday night. Echo Esserman is not a great fighter. He's not a great boxer, but he's got heart. He's got desire. He's a natural welterweight. He's the bigger man. He's strong, tough, got an engine at the age of 36. Outworked Josh second half of the fight. He was, beating Josh to the punch, and that wouldn't have happened 5-6 years ago. There's no way. The slipping and slides, the lateral movement, Josh Taylor would have been able to outbox him easy. The unanimous decision as well went to Echo Esserman. That would have been Josh Taylor 5 or 6 years ago. And you said he was disappointed because his corner was telling him that he was winning the fight when he clearly wasn't. The look on his face, and then people get onto Josh saying, "Oh, he's, he knows he's lost the fight, but he's just pretending," and all that kind of jazz. He's a proud man at the end of the day. He doesn't want to get defeated. No one wants to get defeated, and he probably can't admit it. But I don't know if we'll see him back. And if we do see him back, I don't want to see him as an opponent, as you rightly said. So where does he go? Are we going to start seeing fights that he's going to get good money for in his division, in terms of he's going to stop at welterweight now, the likes of a Conor Benn, which will pay well? And to be honest, just going back there, when we saw him at the weigh-in, he looked healthy. He looked fresh as a daisy. He looked like the old Josh Taylor. He was smiling. He looked confident. He was, he's tanned anyway. He must use the sunbeds and things like that. But he looked a picture of health. And I liked what I saw going into the fight on Saturday night. And then after the first 2 rounds, I thought, this is Josh Taylor. Not getting wrong, it's not prime Josh, but he's levels above Echo. Echo's going to give everything he can. But it just fell flat. And obviously there's only him and his team will know. But again, I think just to go before we go on to Esserman and see what he does next, I think the Father Time statement is probably correct. Father Time has stayed undefeated for a reason. And I don't want to see Josh being an opponent. I don't want him to become a stepping stone or a nice name on somebody's CV. Look, I beat Josh Taylor. He's not. He shouldn't be that guy. He needs a lot more respect for what he's done, and he hasn't got it. And I don't think he'll ever get it. But such a shame. And with Echo Esserman, man, fair play to him. 36 years of age, ranked number 4. I think when the WBO rankings get shifted about again, he possibly could be number 1. This is time now. Go for Brian Norman Jr. That's your only fight left. You're not going to get another world title shot. Uncle Frank's got a fantastic relationship with the WBO. He's always had that. I know Brian Norman Jr.'s out. I think he's out in 2 weeks' time, Dave, over in Japan. Hopefully, if he comes through that. I listened to Talk Sport the other week, and one of their, I think it was Adam Catchell. He said something that rings true, not just with Echo Esserman, with every boxer. Closed mouths don't get fed. Open your mouth, call him out. Use your management team. Use Frank to get onto the WBO, push a mandatory, get a voluntary. Just get that shot. If you lose, you lose. Yeah. But I don't think he's going to get another chance. The time is now for Echo Esserman. And again, mate, that engine, we kick back to the report about that engine, and he has got it at 36. Will he have it at 37? Will he have it at 38? Father Time will decide when that engine, packs in. So, Echo Esserman going forward, mate. World title against Brian Norman Jr. He's got to be now. He can't be keep going back to domestic fodder.
Listen, the amount of people that get world titles off the back of defeats, why not? Say what you want about Josh Taylor. He was an undisputed fighter, and beating him, should push you up. Should be a springboard into having a title shot. The amount of shit that you get from people that don't deserve it, then Echo Esserman is, he's took the fight and he's won the fight well. So he should get the spoils from a good win. Whether what Josh Taylor left, you can only beat what's put in front of you. So yeah, listen. He's still we've said it there. He's not the greatest of boxers. You know, no one's going to talk like he's a Floyd Mayweather, but he'll still be a hard night's work for anyone. And if you haven't got enough to keep him off of you, he will keep coming forward.
Yeah,
and he will win rounds. So yeah, do I think he beats the guys at the top table? Probably not. But do I think he'll give him a run for their money? Yes, I do. I actually do. I think he'll have his moments in fights because he's got an engine. So listen, why not? Yeah, the world's his oyster. He's come. That's a good win, and it's a good enough win to springboard you into a position to have a shot.
And I'll tell you something else, Dave. If he does get that Brian Norman Jr. fight, and we've spoke about Norman Jr. before, I don't think he's a great boxer, but he does carry the equalizer. He's got great one-punch power. If Brian Norman can't get rid of him, so I don't think he's ever been stopped. I don't think he's only lost one fight to Harry Scarf. If Brian Norman can't get rid of Echo Esserman, he needs another game plan because he's going to keep coming.
Yeah.
And he'll outwork Norman Jr. So, you know, he's got a great opportunity there if Frank can get it for him, you know. And if anybody can, Frank can, you know. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, fair play to him. And, yeah, Josh Taylor. I don't know what's next. I honestly don't know what's next. Kind of gutted because I'm a super fan of him. So it is what it is, as people say. Right, no more bin men. Moses needs a test. Called it last week, Dave. I went for 1. You went for 2. Done it in 2. You know, Mike Balogun, for what it was worth, got up. He got heart. He tried, but it was just chalk and cheese. I mean, we spoke about this. We threw in the Bacoli name. I mean, don't get me wrong. We love the boxing community in the world who know Moses Itauma and love watching those knockouts. I mean, he's got fast hands. He's got fast feet. He sets up his shots lovely for fucking 6 minutes work. You know, people were saying, oh, he's too small. I think he came in at 254 pounds or something, Dave. That's nearly 18 stone or just over 18 stone. He's not too small. He's kind of the new breed of heavyweight that is quicker, it doesn't plod, and uses his feet and his ring IQ. He's nailed on to be a superstar. We know that, but how much more are we going to get? We just spoke about Frank getting opportunities for Echo Esserman. Now Uncle Frank, I think his son, is it Francis? George. He's more involved with Moses, obviously under the Queensview banner. Sorry, but hands are going to have to go into pockets now and start paying because he needs opponents. He needs people that are going to throw back, going to give him rounds. I know it sounds easier the way we speak about it, but how much longer? Where do we go next with him, Dave? It's a hard one. We can throw all sorts of names out there, but firstly, you know, a little review from the fight, but where do we go next? We all know who we'd like to see him against. He's going to be a top contender, but as I said 2 weeks ago, be careful what you wish for. So you are in a little bit of a rock and a hard place with him because do we put him in with the top contenders, or do we still go down this bin man route, which I don't want to see anymore? I've got to be honest, man.
No, I'm caught in the middle as well, and I think like a lot of people are. I still think he should take the correct route, the correct steps. Like that again. If you're not going to go and try and beat Mike Tyson's record of being the youngest heavyweight,
that's gone. He's missed that record. So yeah.
Yes, then do the traditional route. Go the British European. Go that route. Why? He's young enough. Why are you going to put him to the top? Right. The top is a lonely place, and it's a very hard place to stay, as you can, unless you're an Alexander Usyk or whatnot. He's 21 years old. 20. He'll be there to be shot, or 20. Sorry. He'll be there to be shot at. So why? I understand if you're going to go and try and beat a record, that is, like you said, it's gone now. That can't be done. So what is the aim? Now, do you need to rush him? So to do the British. Now, these guys that he's going in with. You can't. I mean, I'm not a fan of TKV, David Adelaide or whatever else. But you'd be more inclined to put him in with guys like that. You'll get a little bit of a juicy flowing with guys like that and go that route than you are with a guy that you haven't heard from America who come out swinging and got face planted. Now these British level guys we're talking about would do a job on these guys that Moses Itauma's fighting. So why not put him in Moses Itauma in with them and build him the right way? Go to British, go to European, Commonwealth, whatever order you want to do it in. He gains experience. At the minute, he's not been chin checked. So we don't know if he can take a shot. So building it right, instead of going, right, bang, let's go straight in. He's in with a Parker. He's in with these guys, with no experience. Just banging people over, bin men over. So if you want him to be the heavyweight that we all want him to be, one we can get. I think he's going to be it anyway, regardless of what route they take. But someone you can get behind, build him in the right way, and do the right route. then for me, that's the route you got to take. You know, get him in with your Fraser Clarks. Go that route. You know, and get yourself into you know, go the right way. Everyone's in such a rush to, and rightly so, that he's putting people to sleep. But he's young. He's 20 years old. Heavyweights go on to nearly 40, so he could be, you know, he's still got a 20-year career ahead of him.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah,
You
we'll
know?
be great granddads by then, man.
Oh,
Jesus. But yeah, I think that the rumor is he's trying to get him back out in September. So the rumored opponent, I don't know if you've seen, is Otto Wallin. Now it's probably it was a step up from your Ballagans, but I think me and you concluded when we saw him against Chisora, he's just turning up now. Wallin,
yeah, that was a poor performance. Like I said, the Wallin of Fury and the one that fought Gassiev. Was it Gassiev?
Yeah, when he beat Gassiev.
He beat Gassiev. That we were starting to. I mean, we thought he was going to be a hard night's work for Joshua, and all that, but it hasn't turned out to be. He is a step up. He's more of a name than anyone he's going in with at the moment. I still think the outcome will be the same, though. Yeah,
I don't know why. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't think Wallin will turn up for the right reasons. I think he'll turn up to get a paycheck. He'll get a bit more than when he faces Oil, because he's taking the risk, if you like. And obviously, there's names thrown all over the place. Michael Hunt and Gassiev just mentioned there. It's popped up a few times. But Lawrence Okoli, Lawrence Okoli is obviously ranked #1 because of his Bridgerweight title win, so he's higher than that he should be. He's had 2 fights at heavyweight, getting rid of his opponents in 2 rounds. I know he's with Queensbury's now, so is it a matter of fact that Frank won't want to put his 2 Queensbury guys together? Is he trying to build Okoli into something? But I wouldn't mind seeing that. Lawrence Okoli looks like he's a whacker at heavyweight now, so you'd like to think he'd chin check Moses Itauma.
Any one of them, mate. Any one of them. React for. He's up at heavyweight now. You know, like Fraser Clark. That's what I'm saying. They don't need to rush him into straight into world level at his age. You know, he can mix it with these guys round that at the minute and go the correct route. But they say, is the risk worth the reward? You know what I mean? He has a setback against a Coley. Then where does he go from there? But he's a hard one to match, and it ain't his fault. But his youth is becoming like a blessing and a curse at the same time. Because if he's 26, 27, you know, come out the Olympics, you know, he's going straight in there. You know what I mean? We haven't got no time to waste. Blah, blah, blah. He's at his peak now, but he's so young. Is that what do you do with him?
That's it. But if he does get chin check, Sorry, go on, mate. Go on.
So unless you're Klitschko, you know, then you know they start fucking boring up the division for 10, 12 years. You know, he ain't going to be that guy. So. Is it right to build him up the right way? I believe so.
And if he does get chin checked at the age of 20 and does lose to the likes of Okoli and these sorts of guys, you just said there, where does he go? He just carries on building. He's got like you just said, he's got another 20 years. It ain't over.
It's another Daniel Dubois situation.
We saw a guy at the weekend, which we'll elaborate on a bit later, over in Mexico, that apparently his career was over because he lost and he wasn't supposed to lose. And he went out on the weekend. Khalil Coe, I'd say his name. We're going to talk about it. He went out and, you know, right the wrong, if you like. You know, he went away, done his homework, and he can start rebuilding again. There's no reason why this can't happen with Moses Itauma. So I think everybody in the boxing community is having that conversation. It's just who Frank's gonna give him next, and obviously it looks like he's if you go on to BoxRec, he's got TBA next to his name, so he's definitely going to be out. But it'd be interesting to see who it is. Just quickly on this card, it was Scotland, really good card this day. I enjoyed this Glasgow card. There were some good fights in it. It was good to see Willie Lemon's the late Willie Lemon's son Drew getting his making it 4-0, a points victory for him, and Alex Arthur Jr. making his debut, getting a points win. Alois Jr. was on this card. He looked very, very good. He's been calling out Vidal Riley. Vidal Riley was on TalkSport the weekend, basically accepting his challenge. So there's a great fight to be made there for the British and Commonwealth titles. But Nathaniel Collins versus Lee McGregor, one we mentioned it was on, but we didn't kind of go into it, preview it, or anything like that. A fantastic fight, really impressive with Nathaniel Collins, Dave.
Wow,
we didn't make our predictions. I mean, Lee McGregor's he's a good fighter, good boxer. He's never really in shit fights, but Nathaniel Collins looked like, I wouldn't even say a 2.0 version because he's not that far gone yet. But I was really impressed with him. I was really, and again, and before you come in, mate, Nathaniel Collins, Queensbury fighter. I'm matching up with Liam Davis, another Queensbury fighter going forward. But would Frank want to put these two, probably best featherweights together? I doubt it. But yeah, really, again,
that was amazing.
Fight,
that was my fight of the night. That was my performance of the night, Nathaniel Collins. I thought that was a great boxing performance, man. But absolutely took him to school, Lee McGregor. And Lee McGregor's no mug. But I think that was a breakout night. I think that was a breakout performance in front of a big crowd, a lot of eyes watching it. I think a lot of people are going to be on the train with him now, and rightly so. That was a great performance, really, really good from Nathaniel Collins, and I was really impressed with him, man.
I thought it would have been a lot closer.
Yeah, I did.
If we were doing a prediction, I wouldn't have got. I probably might have edged to a points victory. I know I've gone for a stoppage. I thought it would have gone the distance, but looked like a really good crowd up in Scotland. I've got to admit, it's one of the better UK shows of the year. Bob and Ben versus Eubank, clearly. I forgot we were speaking about Moses there before we move on to the Doncaster show. Big Martin was in the crowd. Big Martin Bacoli, did you see him in the crowd? I thought he would have got into the ring and something would have happened between them. Obviously, he's not a Queensbury fighter. Billy Nelson's on about him fighting in December or something like that. So that's not going to happen. But really good.
I mean, again, with Martin Bacoli, why is he championing to fight Moses Itauma at this stage? I don't get. Now I know Moses Itauma is the name on everyone's list, but I don't get what he's doing. Like 1 minute he wants to fight the world champions. Now he wants to fight, and he is still a prospect, Moses Itauma. Let's get it right. Yes, he's an amazing prospect, but I don't get the Martin Bacoli thing. Yes, I know he didn't look great in his last one. He's overweight, got knocked out by Parker. We know he was on a plane in skinny jeans, all that. But I don't get I don't get what he's trying to achieve, what his career is trying to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Skinny Jesus made me laugh. Right, let's go to the Friday night. Doncaster, the Keepmoat Stadium, home of Terri Harper. She was main event. I like these GBM shows, but I've got to be honest. If Izzy Azif and the boys do listen to our podcast, please, you can't be having main event ring rules at 11:30. Fuck me. You can tell the crowd were getting bored. They started to rain. It's too late. I mean, Matchroom and Queensbury now started doing theirs about 9:30. That's prime time. It's too late. And Terri Harper took on Natalie Zimmerman. She got unanimous decision win. I thought if it would have been 12 threes for a world title fight, as we always bang the drum for, I think she could have possibly got rid of her opponent. That it was chalk and cheese. Terri Harper outboxed her, outfought her, a range control, her feet, everything. We said last week, 2 weeks ago, a happy Terri Harper is a dangerous Terri Harper. She had what she had to do. She got a lot of criticism. I don't understand why. I think because the crowd were agitated and wanted a knockout and wanted to go home because she couldn't get rid of her. There was a big cut at the end. As I said, gone on a bit longer. I think it might have been stopped because Terri Harper was actually putting her foot down and going through the gears and things like that. But Terri done exactly what she was supposed to do, Dave. And I saw the comments online very negative, and straight away they're on about Caroline Dubois, which I put on my banner there. And that is the fight to make next. We don't want to see Terri Harper in with this kind of level of opponent. She's been plucked out of Germany, where it was a mandatory or voluntary. She's nowhere near on the same level as Terri Harper. And it's got to be Dubois next, mates. But Terri Harper on that Friday night, 11:30 ring walks and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, I can't. You're right. It is too late. It is too late. We've been banging the drum for the earlier main events, and they have done it. But not for me. And not for no disrespect to them, but the main event doesn't. It's not like it's being broadcasted in America, and so it has to be a little bit later so they can watch it. So and I think it's unfair to the fighters because, like you said, the crowd was agitated, and I think it sort of showed in Terri Harper's performance. Like I say, it was an okay performance from Terri Harper. I don't think we're probably being critical because of how good she was in her previous fight.
Did you not rate it though? I thought it was easy work for her.
No, I didn't think it was a bad performance. I just didn't think anything was stand out. Now I'm probably being spoiled. Yeah. I'm probably being spoiled from the last performance because I thought that was her best performance of her career. Her footwork, everything was just spot on that night. She was good at what she done here. I just didn't. I like a fickle boxing fan. I'm probably expecting it in every fight. I know it can't.
Did what she was supposed to do. She
didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. No. But I mean, just comparing fights is is what it is. But no, she done exactly what she needed to do. She was never in any danger. She was a superior boxer. She was up on her toes. you know, good footwork, good combinations, won every round for me.
Yeah.
And that was a head clash that caused that cut, and it was a bad cut. It was a real bad cut. And but fair play to Zimmerman. She tried, but again, we talk about this every time we talk about the women's. Then it's chalk and cheese in the levels here. And yes, you're going to get girls that can try and, you know, put everything into it, but they just don't have the skill set. Like the
she didn't have a clue, Dave Zimmerman. That sounds really. She does, and I don't. So what? Well, who am I to say anything? But she didn't really. It looked like she didn't know what she was doing. Her feet were terrible. She was just swinging wild hooks. It was just from her. That's why I thought it was not a great performance. You are right, but did do a job. But it just looked far too easy for her, you know. And because she was looking for a knockout and she couldn't get the knockout. You saw some people in the crowd kind of losing interest on their phones, wanting to get out the door, and I kind of felt a little bit sorry for Terri, being in her hometown city as
like
well.
You said, if that goes off at 9 o'clock, people are still wellied into the beers and that, they can get behind it. By 11 o'clock, they've stopped serving, so people are starting to sober up. They're not as enthusiastic anymore, and then she got the brunt of that. And so it was an okay performance. I do feel for her. Your question with Dubois, I wanted Dubois this time. So for next, I'm 100% all over that. And I think that's what brings out the best Terri Harper. Because like I say, she it was Rhiannon Dixon that she won the title off in the last fight, wasn't it? And that was a brilliant performance. So I think that, you know, whoever's put in front of her, if they've got quality, then I think she'll be a better fighter for it. I know she's been stopped on her feet with Bungardner and whatever else, but that, you know, that happens. But Caroline Dubois is another technical boxer. You see the Dubois name, you automatically think knockout and all that sort of stuff because of her brother. But she's a very good boxer. So this will be a chess match. This will be a show of skills, and I think you'll get a high quality bout out of these two. And I think they bring out the best of each other. So yeah, 100% next. I wanted it now, but if it's coming next, I'll take it. And then again, I don't want a name of someone like you said been plucked out of Germany, who's got like a decent record, but you don't know who the people they've been fighting against. Yeah, it has to be these two next. They're giving itself a little bit of shit back and forth on Twitter/X. So let's do it.
Yeah, and when we saw Caroline Dubois in her last fight against the South Korean girl, Shin hurt her near the end. Do you remember? So there was a blueprint there. If you put it on Caroline Dubois, you can hurt her. She's not a machine. She can be hurt. She can possibly be stopped. But yeah, it's the only fight to make in such a shallow pool. And they're both still very, very young. As I think I said last week, Terri's still only 28. She's been around for so long. You think of her as 38, you know. But it's the only place to go. And she's, as far as I know, mate, she's left Matchroom now. So she's a free agent, I believe, unless Jake Paul and MVP have picked her up, because they've picked everybody else up in the women's game. So yeah, it'd be interesting where she goes and who she goes with next. But fair play to Terri. Right, on the undercard. This was, I text you, I watched this and I text you on that Friday. I think you was out on the piss. You saw the message later on. Maxi Hughes versus Archie Sharp. This was a strange fight. Not from Maxi Hughes. So I said on the podcast, I expected Maxi Hughes to have a bit of a masterclass. Did he win the fight? Yeah, he won the fight. It wasn't a masterclass. He didn't really have to do a lot. And in my banner there, guys, anybody that's listening on audio, I put, is Sonny the common denominator? And I'm talking about Sonny Edwards. That sounds a bit strange because Sonny Edwards was in the corner for his brother Charlie when he took on Andrew Kane. And Andrew Kane's Charlie Edwards' performance was dreadful. It was the worst version we saw of Charlie Edwards, not just me and Dave, but the boxing community said how bad it was, because it looked like he was making shapes, he was doing lateral movements, in and out, all that. Didn't throw a shot, wasn't throwing. You know, you do need to throw something, you need to land to actually win rounds and win the fight. Sonny Edwards was in the corner of Archie Sharp on that Friday night, and this was a carbon copy of Charlie Edwards. I did not understand what Archie Sharp was doing. I did not. You mentioned about the corner work there with Josh Taylor. I did understand what the corner were telling him. He thought he was winning the fight. He thought he was up, but he wasn't throwing anything. It was Charlie Edwards 2.0 minus 2.0. It's not a version I've ever seen of Archie Sharp. It was probably one of the easiest nights work for Maxi Hughes ever at this late stage of his career. Picked up that WBC silver ranking belt for whatever it's worth. Now he's moved up in the rankings for whatever it's worth. But Sonny Edwards was with him, Dave, and Sonny Edwards never fought like that. He was he could fight on the inside, on the outside. You know, he had a bit of everything. He used to throw shots, he used to land shots, he used to school people. Why is there no output coming from Charlie Edwards and Archie Sharp? I just didn't get it. I don't think anybody's answered the question as of yet, mate. What the fuck was all that about?
It was a horrible fight.
Yeah.
It was a horrible performance. And so I say, Maxi
Only
Hughes
by him. Only by him.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Maxi Hughes was coming forward. He was the aggressor. Yeah. He was the one trying to push the fight. He was the one trying to make a fight of it. And Archie Sharp and I backed him as well, which I'm fucking fuming about. He's doing all this hands behind his back stuff, and I just don't get it. Like he was doing more movement without throwing a punch than he was throwing a punch. I'm glad that he didn't win that fight based on fighting like that, because I never see that again. It was horrible. He got tagged by Hughes as well, then went on his bike.
Yeah.
Still doing all this. So it was a horrible performance from Archie Sharp, and I don't know what the tactics were. I don't know what the plan was. It was awful. Everything about it was wrong. And if Sonny is the common problem, then they need to sort that out quick, because
it's just a coincidence, isn't it? It's a coincidence. Yeah. He's been in the two guys' corners, and they put on exactly carbon copies performances of each other by not throwing, doing the showboating, running around, lateral movement, looking good, making shapes, nice silhouettes, but there's no output, there's no product.
No.
It's not something we've seen.
I was saying he's on his bike the whole time, and we talk about the Americans, the black American fighters getting stick for being on their bikes. When you see something like what you've seen from Archie Sharp and Charlie Edwards and whatnot, there's no argument to say that them black American fighters like your Haney's and all that are on their bikes. Yeah. How can you say Shakur Stevenson goes running when you see something like that? That is real running there. It was horrible. It was a horrible performance. I'm glad Maxi Hughes got the win. He deserved it for even just trying to make a fight of it. He was the aggressor. He was the one trying to land.
Yeah, he was.
But it was almost like it was just like a ballet dancing from Archie Sharp. It was horrible. And I hope he gets a ton of stick. And again, I'm not really bothered now after a performance like that. You're going to ask where he goes next. I don't know. That was his chance he's just come off a defeat. That was his chance to come back against a good name, someone that's on a crest of a wave like Maxi Hughes, make a bit, and it would be a statement win if he come out there and stopped him and whatnot. But he's gone backwards. He has gone absolutely backwards with a performance like that. And who's going to want to touch him now? I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to put him in front of anyone after a performance like that. So he needs to go and have a real rethink on what he's doing, because that was shit.
Yeah, that's basically the way to sum it up. It's a shame. Even those previous defeat against Ryan Garner, he lost, but he tried. He didn't even try. And Ryan Garner is a harder, fresh, young Ryan that Piranha. He's going places. Maxi Hughes is, I call it an Indian summer. He's at the back end of his career now, where he's not really going to get another world title shot. He's just probably adding to the pension pot, keeping active. He didn't put it on him. He didn't try, but he tried against Garner. I couldn't. Yeah, like you said, it was a shit performance. Nothing I can understand why, what the reason for it was. Is Sonny's involvement, but Sonny didn't fight like that. I don't know. I was really disappointed, because that was one of the ones we were looking forward to as well, wasn't it?
Listen, if the plan was to outbox Maxi Hughes with plenty of lateral movement because he's the older fighter and all that sort of stuff, then fine. But you've got to do it with output.
Yeah, exactly.
Box and move for 12 rounds, not a bother. Land and move, and don't get caught with something, and frustrate him. We've seen it so many times, hundreds of fights over the years where they frustrate a fighter. But he was more or less frustrating himself, because you can't do all that movement and not throw a punch. So that's where he's completely fucked it. So he's made a mess of whatever plan it was.
Yeah. If he's out again, next time he's out and he fights like that, I think people are literally going to switch off of him. Especially people, obviously, the casuals won't know who he is, but boxing fans won't want to watch him not performing like that. I mean, next time Charlie Edwards out, we're going to, whenever that may be, Dave, we'll sit here as we normally do on a Monday, preview one of his fights and think, if there's no output coming from him, I'm going to kind of go to my phone. I'm going to put the kettle on us. I'm kind of lost for words a little bit, because it was so disappointing. Hey ho, we do move on. And obviously Maxi Hughes will get more work under the GBM banner, and good luck to him. Right. On the Saturday, we had Angelo Leo going over to Japan to defend his IBF featherweight title, his first defense since he beat Lopez back last year. A majority decision win for Angelo Leo, Dave, in Japan. Closer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Tomoki Kameda very, very tough. But if you have a look at his resume, when he does come up against the top contenders, he just falls short. I thought Leo did win the fight, Dave.
Yeah, it was close.
It was fucking close, mate. And going off that performance, which is wrong, but in boxing, we do what have you done for me lately? Even though he won, I think Angelo Leo might be the weakest of the 4 champions at this weight, because I expected him. I think I went for a late knockout, but I wouldn't have been shocked if he didn't. But I did expect a gap to form between the 2 fighters. But it was quite a close fight for the full 12 it lasted, mate.
Yeah, it was. And again, it's created more questions than answers for Angelo Leo. Again, we're so fickle, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. That's going to be the new phrase. But other than the knockout for Lopez, no one was really talking about how Angelo Leo was that guy, was he? You know what I mean? I don't want to say he dined off the knockout, because it was a great knockout, it was a great shot, and you've got to have your footwork in an area to throw a shot like that, so you can't take nothing away from him. But now I look at this, and listen, don't get me wrong, this is a good fight. This is a good close fight. This is what we want.
It was a good fight. Let's not forget that. It was a good fight. I just expected Leo to do a little bit more. Yeah. But maybe because he was away from home. I don't know.
Show the champions in you. Show the difference between a champion and challenger. And take over in the championship rounds, as we call it. That didn't really happen. So I don't want to poo-poo on a world champion after a win, but does that knockout against Lopez paper over cracks? That, because no one was really talking about Angelo Leo up to that point, and
that's fair.
He's a world champion in his own right. No one can ever take that from him. But is he the world champion in that division? And you mentioned it there at the start. He looks to be the weakest. He does look to be the weakest, and he'll be the target. When people are rocking the mic. I just feel, yes, it was a good fight. A good scrap, good close fight, and that's what we scream for in world title fights. We don't want, like we talk about the women there, where there's just 2 class apart. So listen, I'm not going to poo-poo that. But is he that guy? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Has he had his night? Is what I mean with Lopez.
Yeah.
As that in the champion, like I say, I like to see champions. And sometimes you can develop as a champion once you've got the belt. That gives you a sort of spring in your step. I'm the champ now, and you come with that aura. I don't feel like Angelo Leo's come with that aura of a champion. I feel like he's. This is a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to poo-poo it. World champions. Has he plateaued in? Do I see him being able to step to another level? I'm unsure. You know what I mean? Can he go through the gears and be better? I'm unsure, and I'm probably being harsh after a win, but
I think we probably are. Yeah, but I understand your reasoning. You're the same as me.
Yeah. And like you said there, he's been dragged over to Japan. Could that be a factor? Possibly. There's many factors.
Yeah,
there's many factors, and Kamida's no mug. Yes, he falls short at the highest levels, but he's still a good fighter. So it's one of them. He's got through that. He's retained his title, and that's all you can do, really. You know what I mean? We're talking like he's been defeated, but like I say,
yeah, we are actually.
It's 4 levels. I looked at that fight as if can he go up in levels, and I'm not sure. Because if he can, he should have done, and that's the only thing. I just think that as he peaked at the Lopez knockout, that's all I'm wondering.
I think the answer is no at the moment. I think the answer is no. But yeah, you are right. We are talking like he lost the fight. He won on away soil. It's a close fight. He'll be back to the States now. Bob will probably give him an easy title defense next before he starts trying to unify the belts with Espinosa or Nick Ball. There you go. There's 2 champions there that I think will overpower Angelo Leo. He's got the work rate, the heart, the desire. He makes some nice shapes, but there's just something.
That's what I mean. That's smart.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. And like I say, it's a shame that we have to not poo-poo his performance, because I don't think it was like I say, it was a good fight. But you see how we're like nitpicking. But when you've got 4 champions in the division, you can.
Yeah. Never happy, us boxing fans.
No,
never happy.
Miserable bastards, aren't we?
I'll tell you, we won't be miserable about this next one though. Wednesday afternoon here in the UK. Fight of the year contender. This we just spoke about Leo's fight there was a good fight. This was a great fight.
Yeah.
Afternoon boxing from Japan, you can't beat it. Sugar Nunez finally got his chance to fight for, which became a vacant super featherweight title. against Masoi Risiki over in Yokohama, Japan. I think we can see now why Anto Kakachi ditched that belt in the bin rather than take his mandatory in Sugar Nunez. This guy, I've always called him a killer, but I want to give major kudos to Rikishi. He is one tough motherfucker. He is tough as they come. Now, Sugar Nunez, it's a proper good look, for especially us in the UK, to have a good look at him at a decent time. His record was 27 knockouts, or 27 wins or 27 knockouts. He threw the kitchen sink at Rikishi. Rikishi had his moments. He won his rounds, but it wasn't enough. He threw everything at him. Sits down on every shot, knocked fuck out of him, out the body, out the head, and he stayed in there for 12 rounds. I don't know how he stayed in there. But Sugar Nunez, man, welcome to super featherweight. This guy's a fucking problem. He is a problem. He possibly could be the best fighter. Now, I said it before about Andy Cruz, but that's because he was my prospect. Eddie's got some half-decent talent, but this could be one of his best fighters at Matchroom. I thoroughly enjoy Wednesday night, Dave, and it's the best fight I've seen so far of the year. Sugar Nunez, take a bow, son. Fantastic fight.
You know what? You know my love affair with Bam Rodriguez. Well, Sugar Nunez is coming straight up behind him in a non-gayest way ever. But but he's all action. He's all action. He loads up on every shot.
Yeah, man.
His work rate for someone who's I know he's a super feather, but he's stocky at the weight.
He's bad.
His work rate. You're talking Sapeda, the amount of punches and the work rate that he throws.
Great analogy. That is exactly what he's like. But he sits down and everything. Whereas Sabeda's a bit more tippy tappy, and he wears you down more.
Every shot wants to knock you out.
Yeah,
which makes him exciting. I'll tell you what, though. You mentioned Kakachi, right? And listen, I don't for 1 minute think that Kakachi would beat him, but you see what the fight that they could have potentially had.
Yeah.
In the center of the ring, Kakachi doesn't go take a backward step. He throws like fuck. He throws with venom.
Someone's getting stopped.
Them two would go at it. However long it lasted, them two would go at it like a Barrera Morales sort of thing. Like that. I know it's probably not going to happen.
Keep that thought, what you just said there, Barrera Morales, because we move on to something that could be Barrera Morales in the division. But sorry, mate. Yeah, you're right. Go on, get them set with the ring.
Kakachi and Sugar Nunez would have been amazing. Now, and I'm sure that Kakachi doesn't want to have them type of fights at this stage of his career, and obviously he's after the money and whatnot. So fair enough. And like you said, you can see why. He didn't want to go in with him. But their fight that they could have potentially had could have been a barnstormer for the way that they fight. Anyway, this is Sugar Nunez's night, and yes, for me. Yes, he's a future star. He's a future star. You're going to get excited to watch his fights. You're going to want to get up and watch them because you know exactly what you're getting. He stalks you. He pushes your backs up on the rope, and every single shot is like full of venom. He wants to knock you out. 9 times out he will. And again, you're right there, the Japanese fella. How he stood up to that. Don't get me wrong, he threw a few back himself.
He did. That's why he made a good fight. It wasn't a one-sided beatdown. He was in it to win it as well. He wanted to win that belt. He was at home. You know what I mean? He wanted all the glory. He wanted to be the IBF champ. He put it on Nunez. Nunez felt some of his shots, but Nunez just fired straight back. That's why it was such a good rock'em sock'em.
He threw a few good combinations at one point. His back was always on the ropes, but he threw a few 2s and 3s that got through, and it sort of stopped Nunez in his tracks, and then straight away he's back on it again.
He's back on it again, man. Yeah.
But you see him at the end, the Japanese fella. When the bell went, you just see him go like, fucking hell, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Fair play to him, he stayed in there, made a fight of it, you're correct, and kudos to him as well. But that is one relentless man. I'm telling you, he is just pure power, and it's educated pressure. It's not, it looks like he's winging them in from a wide stance, but it's the movement that comes with it. It's amazing. He's amazing.
There's a lot of accuracy there as well, Dave. He
ain't windmilling. No. He ain't windmilling. He knows exactly what he's throwing, but it's the pressure. That he throws so much. For a guy as stocky as he throws a lot of punches, and they're all power punches. There's none of this like you say a little jab just to get your range finder. It's boom, boom, and it's just relentless. Like I say, he's a great fighter. He's a great fighter, and it's so exciting, so exciting. I love it.
How he stopped on his feet. I mean.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's smart so far, mate. When we talk about fight of the years and our review at the end of the year, that's the best one I've seen so far. As a boxing fan, 2 guys going for a legit title. Obviously, we do the Eubank Ben thing, but then you go look at the narrative of it, where they are in their careers. This was high level world championship boxing. I've fucking wankable. I really enjoyed it. But I did say to you, go on, mate.
I was going to say you're going to get these type of fights from Sugar Nunez. He's going to be in, especially if someone comes back who's got a bit of a chin. and can throw back, he's going to be in some absolute barnstormers of fights. He is.
There we go. Someone who's going to throw back and is going to put it on him. Who's the WBO? That's what I said to you. Keep the thought. Morales versus Barrera. Who is the WBO champion in this division? Fellow Mexican.
Is it Espinosa?
Emmanuel Navarrete.
Navarrete, yeah.
Navarrete versus Sugar Nunez. Two Mexicans in Mexico. Front-footed fighters. Throw like fuck and a knockout artist. Name me a better fight.
No. You can't. You've done me there with that, because that's an amazing fight.
That's a 3-fight deal, baby. That is. That'll
be one of the trilogies. That'll be one of the trilogies. Like Gatti Ward. You're talking Gatti Ward and all that.
It's got to be made. It's got to be made. They're both champions in the same division. The rhetoric, the narrative, whatever terminology you want to use, it's there. It's ready to go. Eddie versus Bob, whatever. Yeah, that is.
Oh, it's amazing. Amazing fight.
Yeah.
That would be, do you know what? If that started to get talked about, that would be up there with my favourite fight that I want at the moment, and that's Inoue Nakatani. Yeah. But that is up there with that. If they started talking about that, oh my God, I will stay up for that. And I'm very funny about staying up these days, but I would stay up for that.
It's a Mexican super fight.
It is.
There's no other way to explain it. I know Navarrete didn't look good in his last fight, but a fight like this, when there's a lot of jeopardy of him getting knocked out as well, and Navarrete can fucking throw with the best of them. He's another knockout artist. It has to deliver. It's a fight that has to deliver, isn't it? So
that'd be amazing. Yeah. That'd be an amazing fight.
Fair play to Sugar Nunez anyway. Really enjoyed that. And the new champion of the world. Right. Friday night, back to Mexico. Well, we just spoke about Mexicans. This was in Guadalajara, Mexico. Team Coe gets an A+. It's called an A+ at school. I think it's called something different now. For doing their homework. Khalil Coe, who I'm talking about. He went in against Mexican Manuel Gallegos for the second time. Now, we saw him fight Gallegos back in November. I think it was September, November last year. Yeah. Coe had been on this run where he looked really good. One of Eddie's prospects, been knocking dudes out. I spoke about him once. To keep your eye on this fella. Was a heavy favourite going into the first fight. Just a kind of a random routine of a bullshit belt, if you liked. Went toe-to-toe with this tough Mexican. Come off worse and got stopped in round 9. Then we hear that, he's finished. He was a hype job. He ain't this, he ain't that. Eddie's oversold him. Totally get it. We all do it as boxing fans. It's just what we do. We'll always do it until boxing actually wraps up and finishes. So it's just a thing. Yeah. But we spoke about Moses there earlier, about if he does get chin checked, he does get stopped. His career's not over. Yes, Coe's a little bit older. I think he's about 27, 28. But what he went away and done, he went back with his team. They'd done their homework. They worked out what went wrong, what they needed to put right. It was a dangerous fight against a Mexican in Mexico. Yeah. And Khalil Coe, I mean, when we're talking about performances of the week, I mean, he made a Mexican quit in Mexico, for fuck's sake. Yeah. But I don't think, I have to think off the top of my head, which I can't do in my notes for today. I can't think of a better performance from a fighter using the jab.
Yeah.
The jab was pinpoint accurate, ramrod, spiteful.
Yeah.
Just punch perfect with one shot. One part of that arsenal, just one shot, he was perfect. And he made him quit in Mexico.
Yeah.
I just knocked my microphone off there by applauding him. But yeah, well done, Khalil Coe. Went away, done his homework, got it right, perfection. Now we've hit a road bump, we flattened it out. Now we move on. Fair play to him, man. Fair play. And that's a dangerous fight to take, because he went toe-to-toe last time and he come off worse. He done the exact opposite and boxed his way to a victory, and fucking clinical as well.
We've just come off a week or couple of weekends where immediate rematches after performances and people saying you're not ready, you shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that. Khalil Coe went straight into the Lions Den after a bad defeat. He got dropped 3 times and stopped.
Yeah.
To the body.
Wasn't supposed to happen.
No, it wasn't supposed to happen. Again, you said there, people were questioning him, and he's gone away. His team have worked on, himself, that they've worked on a game plan. They've gone straight back into the Lions Den. There's jeopardy there. There will be nightmares, ghosts of the past that you've got to deal with, and he's gone in there, and from fucking round 1, that jab, right? And I've gone back and watched their first fight, and he's got a great jab anyway.
Yeah.
But that jab there was one of the best jabs I've seen in a fight like a standout jab. Now, don't get me wrong, we've had some brilliant people that have had brilliant jabs over the years, but you see that jab, he didn't need his right hand.
Yeah, dominant, man.
He could have put his hand behind his back and still won that fight. The way he stepped in and used it, it was like he turned it into like a ramrod power shot. Mm-hmm. And what it did, it broke the guy's nose, and then his eyes started to swell, and he couldn't breathe. And listen, it'd have been easy for him to try and step on it, and try and be that guy. But he learned from the first fight. The first fight is that he tried to be a little bit macho, tried to match the guy. The guy hit him to the body and stopped him. So what does he do? He just keeps doing the same thing as you do, same thing, win the rounds, and fair play, because like I say, he could have gone in there, tried to smelt blood, caught something on the way in, and got stopped again. He didn't. It was a measured performance. It was a mature performance. It's exactly what you do when you come off a defeat and you're going back into the lion's den against the person that defeated you. You go there, you learn. And this is what I said about Dave Allen. The Dave Allen fight. I said that I would have backed Johnny Fisher because he would have gone into the gym. He would have learned from the first fight, and then he's ended up coming worse. You can see that. Don't get me wrong. Coe had a good jab, but they've gone in there and they've worked on something, and you can see it coming out. And that's the beauty of it. That is the beauty of it. When you go away, it wasn't meant to happen. It wasn't in the script. You go in there and you right the wrong, but you do it in the right way. You do it in the right way. That was an amazing performance. That jab at this current, based on one performance, that's the best jab in boxing at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. It punched perfect. It really was.
And that's the best punch. That is the best punch in boxing, by the way.
Yeah.
By the way, that is what sets everything up. But he didn't even need it for that. He didn't even need it to set up another shot. It rocked his head back so many times he couldn't miss with it. He could not miss with it, and it was a sparkling performance when it came to that one punch, and the best punch in boxing. And listen, fair play. And like you said, he's right. He's right at the wrong. Waxing lyrical about him again. But I like the fact that he went away and learned. I like the fact that he went away and he's come back and he's implemented, and that shows a lot about him
and his team as well.
About him and his team. And that he can go away when suffer a setback, go away and come back and improve. Not many people can do that. Not many people could have done what Khalil Coe done at the weekend there.
Yeah,
they couldn't. Yeah, and it's been proven time and time again. So fair play to him because that's fair. I love that. He got away, worked it, and implemented it. Man, it's a tough thing to do, and fair play to him.
Yeah, agree, mate. Another fighter that done the same bit earlier on in the year was Ben Whittaker.
He did. That's correct.
Yeah. On the same kind of path, these two guys, mate. Same weight division. I mean, Khalil Coe versus Ben Whittaker. I don't think Ben Shalom would risk it just yet with Eddie, possibly because he's already had a defeat. But, mate, who just off the top of your head, we can match, mate, because what we've seen with the WBC, we haven't actually spoke about that yet with Manny Pacquiao. My kind of thought process with sanctioning bodies now and rankings and paying fees has gone out the window. So you can literally matchmake anyone for anything. If you're pulling out an OAP that ain't fought for 4 or 5 years, it's not paying any sanctioning fees, not ranked. You can make fights for anyone. So I'm going to make fights for anyone now because they're kind of irrelevant to me. So Khalil Coe versus Ben Whittaker. If they were to fight next, mate, where would your money be? It's a hard one because they're coming off 2 good wins, aren't they? I think Coe's is a lot better because to me, Whittaker done exactly the same he did in the first fight, just happened to land on the equilibrium of Liam Cameron and stop him.
I would lean towards Coe myself. I just think that jab's a massive weapon there. I think there's still question marks about Whittaker. Yes. We know all about falling over the ropes and whatnot, and the level of opponent prior to that. I just think that Coe's got more. I say fundamentals because I just think he's more of a solid all-rounder fighter at this stage in their careers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes, Ben Whittaker's got the skills, but I just don't know that he's ready for Coe at this stage. I don't think so.
Fair enough. Yeah, I tend to agree, mate. I'd think I'd back him as well. Just random matchmaking. That's what we do on here. So yeah, well done, Khalil Coe. Right, MJ Akhmadaliev was out in Guadalajara just to keep busy this fight against his opponent in Luis Castillo. I mean, Castillo had 6 losses. He's only been stopped once against Comida. Funny enough, who we spoke about against Angelo Leo. He was expected to win this fight. He did look sharp. He did look good. the thing here with MJ, Dave, is how good he was in the fight. I look and I get excited that he's going to put it on Inoue. He's going to ask Inoue questions. And then automatically I look at the opponents MJ's fighting. They're not Inoue. And then I go back to the Tapales fight with MJ. And I think it was a close fight, but Tapales beat MJ. And then I go back to Inoue versus Tapales. And Tapales asked him questions and Inoue dealt with Tapales. So what I'm trying to say is, even though I'm excited for that, I think it's September 14th, them two are going at it in Japan. I do give MJ a chance, but I always go back to Inoue, just doing Inoue things, if that makes sense, you know. But all in all, MJ done exactly what he's supposed to do. Yeah. And he's sitting down on his shots. He's getting rid of dudes now. But like in my opening gambit there, mate, I look at the opponents and they're not Inoue.
No, listen. I feel like I'm being very negative tonight. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe it's because the kids and my missus have been away that I'm, down in the dumps. But
you're missing them, really. You're glad they're away because you get on the beer, but you're missing them now.
Yeah, I think it's making me negative on this podcast tonight because I looked at the performance and I thought it was an okay performance. Again, I didn't think it was sparkling. I felt sometimes he was waiting too long to catch him on the counter. And then what made me think when I was looking at this is that, are we going to get the fight that we really, really want in the MJ versus Inoue bout? And the reason I asked
competitive, you mean?
Sorry?
Is it going to be competitive, you mean?
No, I think it will be competitive. I just think the tactics might mean that they're both waiting.
Oh, yeah.
So they're both waiting for one of them to make it. It might make it might catch fire, but the way that MJ was waiting on the counter for Castillo to step forward, sometimes I felt he was waiting too long. So are we going to get a clash of styles where Inoue's waiting and he's waiting and we're going to get this like fainting and trying to outthink each other and not get much action? That's how I sort of saw it when I was watching the MJ fight. Yes, he's spiteful. Yes, he's a class apart from Castillo. He had flashes of moments. He does sit down on his shots. But if he doesn't go there and put it on Inoue, I can see it being a bit of a chess match that's going to go on for a little while. It might not be the fight that we all expect, which is worrying me. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm in a negative mood tonight for some reason. I don't know.
No, it's a valid point. It's a valid point. It might be too much downloading for both guys, yeah?
Yeah, that's what I sort of looked at it because when I watched MJ in this fight, I thought maybe he'd be on the front foot and, really put it on him and do that. But he didn't. I think, again, I keep saying the same thing. He waited too long. So Castillo, he would wait Castillo to make a move before he done anything. Now, we all know what Inoue's like. Inoue's a very good fighter. He downloads himself, and in his last couple of fights, he's walked onto a shot on the way in. So are we going to get some hesitation from both guys, which means we're not going to get so much action? That's all I was thinking when I was watching that fight.
Yeah, very negative, mate. But I can see where you're coming from. Yeah. Eddie's promised us Uzbek power, isn't he? Against
Oh, don't get me wrong. If Inoue walks onto one of them, he'll know about it. That I've got no doubt. But
especially now we've seen it put down to us.
Yeah, I just think it'd be cagey because you could see what MJ was trying to do.
Yeah.
So but it was a decent enough performance.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I put there MJ looking sharp. I thought he looked sharp doing what he had to do. But again, it's the level. Castillo's not at MJ's level, is he? So
he was sharp. When he teed off and landed his shots, he looked good. I just feel like there was a little bit too much waiting around for a guy like Castillo, where I think he could have walked through him.
That's yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, so he was sharp shooting. Don't get me wrong, his punch selection was good enough.
Yeah, September the 14th, guys. Don't set your alarms. It's going to be a fucking bore.
Oh no! Do you want to finish the show without me? The fucking viewers are going to plug it after listening to me.
We're going to go somewhere else now, mate. A bit more negativity. Ooh. Saturday night, Caleb Plant was in action. The return of Caleb Plant since the win over Trevor McCumbee last September. Now, we spoke there about Josh Taylor earlier, the decline, and we're going to probably be a bit negative. I want to ask you, mate. I love Caleb Plant. He's a character. There's something about him. He's never in shit fights. This wasn't a shit fight at the weekend. It was disappointing from him. But after that David Benavidez fight, which Benavidez couldn't get rid of him, but it was a bit of a bloodbath. Benavidez smashed him up, and he stayed in there to the 12th round. It looks like something's like he's taken his soul a little bit. Now we go back to his previous fight against Trevor McCumbee. I remember me and you and a lot of the boxing community saying, it's just an opponent for Caleb Plant to get busy and then get back into the title contention. McCumbee put it on him. McCumbee put it down. He was a hard night's work. Now, off that, me and you spoke about McCumbee going in with legit contenders because he's an hard night's work. Yes, Caleb Plant got the job done in the end, but it wasn't the best version we've seen of Caleb Plant. This weekend against his opponent, in a tough Mexican, Jose Resendiz. It's hard to pronounce his name. Just call him Jose Resendiz. Just call him Jose. It was supposed to be even better. This was a warm-up fight going into against the Jermall Charlo fight, which is planned for back at the end of the year by PBC. They're getting those two guys in together. They've had beef outside the ring. If anybody remembers, Caleb Plant slapped him. They go into a fight. So they're building a narrative around that. This was a kind of a semi-final / warm-up, get the ring rust off, etc. going into that fight. It was supposed to take care of the Mexican kids on Saturday night. Mate, it just couldn't get going. It just could not get going. And we spoke about output of Archie Sharp. It wasn't as bad as that. No. And you spoke about MJ waiting. There was a lot of waiting. There was hardly any output from him. I won't say he looked disinterested. He looked like he couldn't work the Mexican kid out. Yeah. And he was hitting Caleb Plant for fun. Old Caleb Plant, the old sweet hands, the fast hands, getting on the inside, knocking fuck out the body, smelling blood. It looks like it's disappeared. It definitely looks like it disappeared on Saturday night. And I was disappointed and shocked at the same time because this dude was supposed to be cannon fodder going into the Charlo, because Charlo was on the same card, which we'll speak about in a minute. He won his, Plant wins his, they get together. Let's fucking get it on for September, November, whatever date we're looking at. But, mate, I was an odd version of Caleb Plant. Are we starting to see decline in sweet hands, mate? I'm not too sure. Maybe we are, maybe we're not.
Well, you asking the question now. I was going to mention the Trevor McCumbee thing, but you've gone further back to David Benavidez, and you make a fair point. But I was going to ask you, if looking at the first half of the Trevor McCumbee fight, was the writing on the wall in that one? Now it looks like it to be. He had to bite down on his gum shield and work it and just try and outwork McCumbee, which he did. But he made hard work of that, and McCumbee obviously had success, dropped him. Was the writing in the wall there? It seems to be the case. The problem with Caleb Plant in this fight is that he couldn't set himself to throw shots. Every time he set himself to throw shots, he'd be hit with 2s and 3s, and he had to try and reset himself. So the output was, I think, Resendiz, he threw double the amount of punches that Caleb Plant had thrown in the fight because of...
What do you call it? Resendiz?
Did I say Resendiz? I did.
How do you pronounce it? I can't fucking say it.
I don't know. But I'm just going to run with
sounds about right. That sounds about right.
I'm going to run with it. Yeah, you know what our pronunciation is, right? But so he couldn't get set. But for me, again, we talk about gears and we talk about championship rounds. I don't know that, you mentioned Josh Taylor. I don't know. He didn't look like he could step on it. Now, did he empty the tank against McCumbee because he stepped on it in the later rounds of that fight to get the stoppage? Did that take the last of him? That's what when I looked at that, I thought, because obviously you went back to Benavidez and that's a fair point. But he put a lot into that last fight against Trevor McCumbee. Was that the last bit that he had in the tank?
Yeah.
Because he's always going to be a tough man. He's always going to be in it, but he was wobbled in this fight. But to me, he was beat to the punch. So every time he tried to get himself, he couldn't throw his hands, these sweet hands, because every time he stepped in, he was catching them. So he was able to reset himself. And this just went rinse and repeat the whole time. And Resendiz then had, so much success, eye-catching work. And I just think,
deserved his win, by the way.
Oh, he did deserve the win. Yeah, he did. And it's a great win. But yeah, it does look like Caleb Plant legs may have gone, which is unfortunate because I like Caleb Plant as well.
Yeah, I do.
But I think he may have emptied the tank against McCumbee because he didn't look like he could get himself into another gear. Like try and change the fight in the later rounds to try and do the same thing. That didn't seem to be there in this fight.
No.
And it's a shame.
There was no other game plan. There didn't seem to be any other game plan. I don't think the corner were too helpful. It just whatever it was, whatever it is going on with his team. If the mind's telling him to do something, and the body won't react to it, if you like. Yeah. It's just there's a lot of fights we spoke about that I just can't. I'm getting tongue tied. I can't nail it down to what it is, but I was just disappointed with Caleb Plant. And I put there, has Caleb Plant started to wilt? Just me trying to be funny there. See what I've done, Plant wilt?
I think he's been in some tough fights. He's been in some tough. He got stopped by Canelo. He's been in with Benavidez. He's 34 years old now, which is not old, but it is in boxing terms. And and like I say, then, like I say, he's been in with is his leg starting to go from under him, and that's again, Father Time is undefeated is a new line on this podcast, and it seems to be that way. It does. Yeah. It's a shame, really, because I like him,
mate. And the guy who's supposed to be fighting up next, Jermall Charlo.
Yeah.
Back on Saturday night, a year and a half away. Look, let's not get too excited. I know he's undefeated. No. He's 34 with 23 KOs. He's been away for a year and a half. He's a former 2-weight world champion. The level of opponent put in front of him was literally cannon fodder. He was called. His nickname was the Cornflake. Charlo put him down 2 or 3 times. Was stopped. I'm not sure the finish was coming, but possibly it could have been too early. I don't think it was hurt or buzzed or anything like that. But it was one-way traffic really from Charlo.
He was getting hit too easy. He had to be stopped. He was getting hit too easy.
He looked massive in there. They're supposed to get rid of a fight to get rid of the ring rust, but can you look too much into that? All I can look into that, Dave, is possibly that version of Charlo might be too much for Caleb Plant. But on the swing side, that level of opponent is not great. So, but I understand why he's got that level of opponent. Is to get the ring rust off, to look good on going into the Plant fight. So Caleb Plant's kind of fucked his semi-final up. Yeah. I still think these two will get it on because it's PBC and it's in-house. So, but basically, what do you make of him? Charlo's return.
Listen, he did look good. Don't get me wrong. He did look good after being out for a certain amount of time. Did we see it did the fight go on long enough to see how much he's got? Because again, the first 3 rounds, you know what I mean? There's still energy there. I want to see what they're like when they're under a little bit of fire. Things ain't going their way. That's when you really know what someone's got left. I don't think you can really measure what Charlo's got left based on the performance he's got there. And
not on that. No, you're right.
Because of his opponent was limited, getting hit too easy. Charlo looks like Charlo 4.0 because and he was throwing lovely combinations. He looked sharp. He looked sharp, but you don't really see what a fighter's got left till you're into the second half of the fight, and I don't feel we saw enough. And that's why you saw more of the decline of Caleb Plant than you really got a good look at Charlo. That's how I feel about it. Again, I'm being negative. I do apologise.
No. I think before they make that fight, I think maybe Charlo needs to stay active and possibly give him another fight. Yeah. Before he goes into Plant, I'm probably in the wrong there. Maybe this version of him isn't good enough just yet to beat Caleb Plant.
Fair, Dave. To be fair, from the rounds that you saw, he looked sharp, and he can only do what he can do with the person he's got in front of him. But we all know that he's a limited fighter. And listen, even though Caleb Plant looks to be on the decline, doesn't look like he can get his shots off and have the energy. He's still a tough enough man to stay in there and give Charlo rounds, so you'll get a good fight out of it, and that's where you'll see what Charlo's got left. When when you're going into the championship rounds, so there's still a fight there to be made. And I still think, listen, Caleb Plant he's not rolling over at the minute. He's been beaten by a fighter that beat him to the punch and had a bit more energy and through more combinations, and but he's still a hard night. It'll still be a hard night's work. He might not be there technically anymore, but he gives I know we shouldn't really be talking like Caleb Plant about giving people rounds.
It was still an opponent that was picked by the promotional company for him to beat, and I've just ended on Charlo. If he is going to keep busy, just keep out of trouble, man. Keep yourself fit, keep yourself ready, because whatever you think of the Charlo twins, that there is talent there. He's a former 2 world, multiple world champion for a reason, and whatever he's got left at what age is he now, Dave? Mid-30s, if that, 33. Yeah. So there's a couple of years left for him. But yeah, if that's a fight we're going to get next, then a very good version of Charlo does probably beat the latest versions that we've seen.
Based on them first 4 rounds, he beats Plant based on Plant's 12 rounds that he's had. Yeah. So, but it's whether you can keep up that pace at that work rate, because he throw a lot of good shots there. Can he do that for 12 rounds? That's the question with Charlo.
That is the question. Before performance of the week, or the last 2 weekends, should I say, Jermall Moulton was also on this card. We normally give him a mention. Floyd Mayweather's prodigy, making it 8-0. He's looking like a little carbon copy of Floyd. So he's only 20 years old as well. No, he's 20. No, he's 18, isn't he? He's 18 years of old, Moulton. So yeah, we spoke about Itauma having a big future. This guy's got a couple more years than Mr. Itauma himself. So well done to Jermall Moulton. So yeah, mate. Performance of the last 2 weekends, where are you going? We've had a lot of negativity, but there has been some standout performances as well, haven't there?
I'm going to base it. My performance is Khalil Coe, based on that jab.
Based on the jab, yeah.
but you could go for Sugar Nunez.
Yeah, I'm going Nunez, man, because it was fight. It's the best fight I've seen this year.
Yeah,
it's not by a country mile, because Ben Eubank was a great fight, but I've got to base it those two fights. I've got to base it on the levels of where all four guys are at, and for a legit world title and the way they've got there. So Sugar Nunez for me, and obviously you're going for Coe for his.
That is the best jab in boxing at the moment.
I can't disagree.
And I'll argue that with anyone. Listen, there's some great jabs out there, but that was so standout that you know they don't very talk about. Usually the jabs are measured for a great right. Like George Groves had a great jab, but he was teeing that jab up for, and it was a ramrod jab, but it was so he could come over with the right, which Carl Froch went down with. Khalil Coe didn't need to throw the right. That jab was that good that it rocked the head back and offset his opponent so many times that he just he quit. So for me, that's the best jab in boxing at this moment.
Now, talking about that jab off the top of my head, when we done the Abdullayev Moratella fight, that was the kind of that's the style of jab I expected Abdullayev to land on Moratella, but he just couldn't get it going. And obviously we done that fight, and Moratella done what he was supposed to do. But two good performances there, mate, from two really good fighters. So anything else to add, mate? 1 hour 15. We haven't done too bad, really. We haven't done our news bits and bats, and we will be back Thursday, by the way, for a huge weekend of boxing. But anything else to add before we wrap up, mate?
No, mate. No, we'll catch up on Thursday. What I'll do is, because we ain't done it for like a month, I'll do the highlighted David McDonald. So I'll pick out the bits over 4 weeks for us to quickly just run through, and then we'll crack on with this week's boxing.
I think it's about 8 fights to preview on Thursday.
Lovely.
It's about 8 fights. So we've got Keyshawn Davis is in action. We've got Josh Kelly, Fabio Wardley, Callum Simpson, Jaya Pataya, Junto Nakatani, and many, many more. It's action-packed, guys. Action-packed.
That's a lovely weekend, that is.
Yeah, it's a really good weekend for boxing. So if you've got nothing else to add, we will wrap up now. That's the end of episode 125. And as I said at the beginning, if you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe on whichever service you use. And we will be back Thursday for a bumper episode. So until then, have a great week. Stay safe. And not enjoy the boxing, because there's not any on till Friday or Saturday. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. That's what I say from now. I've hoped you've enjoyed this podcast, and you'll come back to us on Thursday. So click that subscribe button and have a great week. And we'll see you soon. Dave, peace out, brother.
Take care, Mucker.